Hey guys, it's Road Dog Does Politics here, back with another video. Today is Wednesday and it is Budget 2017 Day, the day where Philip Hammond has set out what he wants to spend money on and what he doesn't want to spend money on, basically. I'm going to try and keep this video as short as I can, and there's obviously quite a lot to get through. It's windy and miserable outside, and so yeah, I've basically spent most of the day writing down notes of, a big list of what Philip Hammond has set out in his budget. First thing I've noted down was universal credit. That's a big talking point over the last few months. Labour have constantly been putting pressure on the Conservatives to pause this rollout because it's really in massive amounts of chaos, and he's finally relented on that. So he's going to remove the 7-day wait, so that's gone down from 6 weeks to now 5 weeks, where you're now waiting for your first claim. Which is not really a massive difference. You're still gonna, I think, wait a good amount of time to actually receive your universal credit, but he's also going to extend the amount of time if you need an extra bit of money, an advance payment. He's increased the time you have to pay that back from 6 months to 12 months, so you get more time in which to pay that money back if you don't necessarily have it. Again, not a massive difference, but it appeases his backbenchers, and it's still a big problem, and it still needs to be addressed in a big way, but he has at least addressed it. So that's universal credit. What else? He talked a lot about the economy and the fact that growth has been now downgraded quite a considerable amount for over the next 5 years. It's going to go down and then go up by a 0 point percentage. So that's really not good news for businesses. So growth is very, very stagnant, as we all knew in the first place. Debt as well, that's still an issue. Investment in oil and gas industry in the North Sea. Basically, Philip Hammond said that he wanted to basically give a tax cut to oil and gas business industries offshore in the North Sea, so that that you can put more investment into those sorts of industries, which I thought was a massive shame, especially on the Green Party side. There's absolutely no talk of green energy or renewables or sustainable energy anywhere at all in this budget, which is a massive shame, because I think you could put a great deal more into that, seeing as it's better for the environment. But no, oil and gas is a big Tory thing, which is really, really bad. I really hate that. So oil and gas, investment into that. National living wage has gone up by about 30p, from 7.50 to 7.83. Again, not a big thing. Labour want to increase that to at least £10 an hour, and at the moment it's still lying at around 7.50, 7.80-ish. And I hope that goes up in the next 5 years, but it's probably still going to hang around the £8 mark. So that's the thing. He wants to add another £3 billion onto the Brexit planning organisation of stuff. There was talk in the news of doubling the figure that we're going to give to the EU from 20 billion to 40 billion, and another 3 billion on top of that, which Philip Hammond said that he was going to, in terms of economic planning for the country. That's an exceeding amount of money that I'm sure a lot of people will have an opinion about. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about that. They're talking a lot about the Northern Powerhouse and putting money and investment into the north of the country. So Transforming Cities Act, putting 1.7 billion into improving transport links. So that's HS2 and Crossrail. So also talked about the Transpennine route. So basically improving rail systems and from getting place to place, and creating more businesses and stuff like that, which is obviously the north really needs a big amount of investment input into it, because it's been really left behind over the last few years. So I don't think it's enough, but it's something. What else? 10 billion put into NHS frontline services, so that's an average of £2.8 billion of resource funding right now to the NHS. And he's going to put £350 million of that into the NHS over this coming winter. The NHS England have asked for more, funding for the NHS, because I don't think that, like, what Philip Hammond suggested was nearly enough. 2.8 billion over a period of a few years. That's not really enough to cover what the already stretched, underfunded, understaffed NHS need. So that's a really, really important thing to keep in mind, because everyone loves the NHS, obviously. Additional funding to be provided to NHS staff over a pay deal, which is not coming out of this budget. That was really ambiguous, didn't really cover that in much detail at all. So nurses and public sector workers are probably not going to receive a pay rise as much as they wanted to. It wasn't really talked about. So that's not going to come out of this budget this year at all. So hooray for public sector workers not receiving anything as expected. So what else have we got? New investment. He talked a lot about this tech investment in businesses. Like he talked about setting up computing colleges, investment in AI and like everything digital, because he wants the UK to be a leader in like the technical in like a technical revolution. Also maths as well, like wanted more maths teachers in schools and like having maths taught at A-level. Plastic and oceans as well. He talked a little bit about that. I thought that was a bit weird as he sort of juxtaposed it with a few like minutes before talking about oil and gas industries in the North Sea, and then wanting to talk about tackling plastic in the ocean. I mean, it's a good idea, very good idea, much needed, but you know, I think a lot more needs to be done on the environmental front, a lot more. Housing, big thing, housing. 28 million put into housing first pilots, so basically housing for like temporary housing for homeless people, which is it's a massive problem as well. So in pilots in West Midlands, Manchester and Liverpool, which Jeremy Corbyn challenged at the end, was not nearly good enough at all. He wants to charge local authority councils 100% premium tax on empty homes, which will incentivise more people to actually live in those homes, which is a good idea. Over the next 5 years, 44 billion to support housing market, and he wants to build 300,000 houses per year by the mid-2020s, which is very, very ambitious, and I hope that they fulfill that target, because they've been on about building houses for years and years and they haven't actually done that. So I'd really like them to see that happening as soon as possible. A report on a gap between planning permissions and house building, just a report, not a review. Infrastructure development in urban areas, high density housing. And the big thing was, it got a massive reaction, is abolishing stamp duty for first-time buyers of houses up to £300,000, which is a big thing. That was like his big hitter thing. But again, like there are a lot of problems in that. It only really works if you've already got that money to buy that house, and also if you want to downsize your house as well. People will not be a fan of the stamp duty if you're wanting to downsize. So yeah, that was the big thing. If you're a first-time buyer or wanting to buy a house for the first time, that was his wanting to appease millennials. Another big thing was 26 to 30 rail card. The Conservatives really want to get back the young vote, so here's a rail card. Get savings on your train travel, that sort of thing. But that was about it. I hope I've listed all that I can. So we've got the opposition reaction, quite a big reaction from Jeremy Corbyn. He thinks that what Philip Hammond has done is not nearly enough to help those who are really struggling. Growth is still slow, wages and living standards is still down. This is from Jeremy Corbyn. Government is still missing its deficit targets year on year. Children are still having to spend Christmas in temporary homes. Like poverty is going up. Living wage is not good enough. The continued pay gap for public sector workers, and NHS in need of more money, as I said, more than what's being offered. And this is the moment where Jeremy got really, really pissed off with the Tory party and really decided to go for them. He got really angry when he was talking about social care. Virtually nothing was talked about on the subject of social care, which again needs more funding. And I think something was said by a member of the Tory party, and he got really pissed off by it. I'm not sure what he said, but he got really angry and started, shouting about uncouth and uncaring Tories, etc., which was quite, good on him. Really liked the passion that he showed in, the working people of this country. And that's about it, folks. So I try to keep it short and, less boring. But yeah, not as radical as a lot of people would have liked. I think Philip Hammond tried to stay balanced on a lot of things and not introduce many big things. Obviously, stamp duty was the biggest thing. So, any first-time buyers that are looking to buy a house or, have already bought a house, have a lot to say on that subject. So, yeah, that is the budget of 2017, and I'm sure I will be talking about it in other videos in a bit more detail. But yeah, I just wanted to keep this video short. So yeah, that's pretty much the budget and Philip Hammond and the Tory party. It was quite a packed out Parliament today. A lot of emotions running high, as we also had PMQs before that as well. But yeah, I'm sure a lot more feedback will come in the days that follow. And yeah, so don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you would like, and I'll see you guys in another video. Ta-ra, folks!